Welcome to Ayur Times. Today we're focusing on Ayurvedic treatment for Parkinson's disease. Let's get straight into understanding this condition through an Ayurvedic lens and how ancient wisdom approaches it. So when people think about Parkinson's disease, PD, often the first thing that comes to mind is shaking, the tremors. But beyond that, what are the key signs doctors look for? And fundamentally, what's happening inside the brain?
Well, conventionally, Parkinson's presents with a few core motor symptoms. There's bradykinesia, that's a real slowness in movement. Then you have the resting tremors, often starting on one side. Muscle rigidity is another big one. And issues with balance, postural instability. Neurologically, the underlying issue is understood as a gradual loss of specific neurons, the dopaminergic ones, in a part of the brain called the substantia nigra. These neurons make dopamine, which is crucial for smooth, controlled movement. So less dopamine means those movement signals get disrupted.
Right, that dopamine link is very clear in the conventional model. What's really interesting, though, is how Ayurveda describes a condition that sounds incredibly similar, Kampavata, you said, within the Vata-Vyati category, neurological disorders.
Exactly, Kampavata. It's quite striking how the observations align, even coming from a different framework.
So from that Ayurvedic perspective, what's the core imbalance? What kicks off Kampavata?
Primarily, Kampavata involves an aggravation of Vata dosha. Vata governs movement, nerve impulses, everything that flows in the body. When Vata gets excessive or disturbed, it leads to that erratic quality, the tremors, the instability. But it's usually not just Vata acting alone. It's often combined with a depletion, a weakening of Majja Dhatu.
Majja Dhatu. That relates to bone marrow and nervous tissue.
Karasi, the very tissues Vata moves through are weakened. And critically, there's often a depletion of Ojas as well.
Ojas being that deep vitality, the core resilience.
Yes, think of it as the essence of immunity and vitality. When Ojas is low, the nervous system lacks protection. It's more vulnerable to that aggravated Vata.
So it's like an overactive force hitting a weakened system. Makes sense. But given how complex Parkinson's symptoms can be, the stiffness alongside the tremors, for example, is it always just Vata and depleted tissues? Or do other factors come into play?
That's a great point. While Vata is definitely the primary player, particularly Prana Vata affecting higher brain functions and Vyana Vata influencing the actual movements, other doshas are often involved secondarily.
Like kapha, maybe, contributing to stiffness.
Exactly. Kapha imbalance can create obstruction, leading to that rigidity and sometimes a feeling of heaviness or sluggishness. And occasionally you might see pitta involvement if there's underlying inflammation or significant oxidative stress happening.
And beyond the doshas, what about tissues and channels? Where else does Ayurveda see the impact?
Well, Majja Dhatu, the nervous tissue, is central, obviously. But we also see effects on Mamsa Dhatu, the muscle tissue, which explains the rigidity and aches. And Ojas depletion, as we mentioned, affects overall vitality. In terms of srotas or channels, the Majjavai srotas carrying nervous energy are key. Also the Mamsavai srotas for the muscles. Even the Pranava srotas, linked to vital breath and energy, can be impacted, contributing to fatigue.
Okay, that paints a really detailed, interconnected picture. So, given this understanding, aggravated vatas, depleted Majja and Ojas, potential obstructions, what are the main treatment principles in Ayurveda for Kampavata? What's the overall strategy?
The approach is very strategic, really aiming to restore balance and nourish the system deeply. First and foremost is Vata-Shamana, pacifying that aggravated Vata. This involves therapies that are nourishing, or Brahmana, and therapies that involve oil, Snehanam, to counteract Vata's dryness and instability. Second, Majja Dhatu Rasayana. This is crucial. It's about rejuvenating and strengthening the nervous tissue itself. Then there's Shrodoshothana, clearing any blockages in the channels, especially in the nervous system, so energy and nutrients can flow freely. We also employ general Rasayana therapies to boost overall vitality, immunity, and resistance to the disease progressing. And finally, Medha Chikitsa, using specific herbs and formulations known to support brain function, memory, and provide neuroprotection.
That's a really comprehensive set of goals. Vata pacification, nervous system rejuvenation, clearing channels, building vitality, and brain support. So how does that translate into actual treatments? For you listening, what might someone experience going through an Ayurvedic protocol?
It usually unfolds in stages, each building on the last. An initial phase often involves snehapana.
That's the internal oleation, taking medicated ghee.
Yes, exactly, using something like brahmigrita. It lubricates internally, pacifies Vata, and prepares the body for deeper cleansing. Following that, or sometimes alongside, comes a purificatory stage. Here, Basti medicated enemas are really key.
Why Basti specifically?
Because the colon is considered the main seat of Vata in the body. So Basti, particularly types like Niruha and Anuvasana, directly eliminates excess Vata from its home base. It's very powerful for Vata disorders. Then you have vital external therapies. Avyanga, the full-body oil massage, deeply nourishes tissues and calms the nerves. And Shirodhara, where warm oil flows continuously onto the forehead, incredibly calming and stabilizing for the nervous system.
I can imagine. So after cleansing and external calming, what's next?
Then comes the rejuvenation stage.
Uh-huh.
This is where we use those specific Medhya Rasyanas and Majja Rasyanas powerful herbal formulas to rebuild nervous tissue and support cognitive function. And of course, there's ongoing maintenance. This involves crucial dietary changes, lifestyle adjustments, and often continued use of specific herbal medicines long-term to manage the condition and slow progression. And to really get to the heart of it, Ayurveda identifies specific root causes that these treatments target. We've touched on them, but it's good to reiterate. There's Detox, the depletion of tissues, especially Majja and Ojas, making the system weak. There's Vata-Prakopa, the actual aggravation of Vata, maybe due to age, stress, diet, exertion. That drives the erratic symptoms. And then there's Avarana. This is important. It means obstruction. Vata's flow gets blocked, often by kapha, leading directly to things like tremors and stiffness because the movement impulse is trapped.
Avarana, obstruction, that really helps explain the stiffness aspect.
Exactly. So the treatment focus is multi-pronged. Remove the obstruction, strengthen the nervous system, Majja, and pacify the aggravated Vata, using both internal and external methods.
That makes so much sense, targeting the why behind the symptoms. So let's talk specifics. What are some key Ayurvedic medicines used for these goals, and how do they actually work?
Right, there are many effective formulations. Let's look at a few common ones. Ashwagandha is a big one. It's an adaptogen and a nervine tonic. It strengthens muscles, builds resilience to stress, and pacifies Vata. So it's great for tremors, stiffness, fatigue, even anxiety associated with the condition.
Good all-rounder for Vata issues, then. Any caveats?
Generally avoid in very high pitta conditions or active bleeding issues. Then there's Brahmi Grita. We mentioned it for Snehanam. It's medicated ghee with Brahmi. Excellent for neurocognitive function, strengthening Majja. Helps with cognitive issues, sleep problems, tremors, emotional balance.
And the ghee base helps deliver it deep, right?
Yeah, precisely. The ghee acts as a carrier. Just need to be mindful with excess kapha or very sluggish digestion. Mucuna pruriens or Kapikacchu. This one's fascinating because it's a natural source of L-dopa.
Directly addressing the dopamine aspect, but naturally.
So it's very useful for bradykinesia, the slowness, as well as tremors and stiffness. Again, caution with high pitta or severe acidity. Saraswatarishka is a classical fermented liquid tonic. It supports memory, speech, and motor control. Good for difficulties with speech, mental fogginess, anxiety. Contains self-generated alcohol, so avoid if intolerant or pitta is high.
Okay, what about something for that rigidity, the obstruction?
Yogaraj Gugulu is excellent there. It combines detoxification properties with Vata-Kapha pacification. It helps reduce inflammation, improve joint and muscle movement. Very effective for rigidity, cramps, sluggishness. Needs care with a sensitive gut or high pitta. For more severe symptoms, there's Vachichintamani Ras, a potent herbal mineral formula for Vata disorders, particularly neurodegeneration. Used for severe tremors, debility, loss of coordination. It's strong, so needs expert guidance, and isn't for long-term unmonitored use or high pitta.
A more heavy-duty option.
Yes. Then, for deep nourishment, Mahakalinaka Grita, another medicated ghee, a powerful Majja and Ojas Rasayana. Nourishes the brain, promotes rejuvenation, good for mental dullness, low ojas, nervous exhaustion. Avoid in heavy kapha conditions. Deshamula Quatha is a decoction, anti-inflammatory, helps relieve Vata kapha obstruction. Good for muscular rigidity, pain, stiffness. Best used when nourishment is also provided not in conditions of extreme dryness alone. And finally, Shankpushpi, a well-known brain tonic, or medhya, calms the mind, improves focus. Helpful for associated issues like insomnia, poor concentration, anxiety. Less indicated in severe hypoactivity or kapha excess.
That's quite an arsenal, each targeting different facets of the imbalance. Now, beyond these specific medicines and treatments, Ayurveda always emphasizes the bigger picture. What about lifestyle and diet? How crucial are they in managing Kampavata?
Oh, they're absolutely foundational. You can't really get lasting results without addressing them. The diet needs to be Vata-pacifying. So warm, moist, nourishing foods. Easy to digest. Think soups, stews, well-cooked grains and vegetables. Healthy oils like ghee. Critically important to avoid dry, cold processed foods and stimulants like caffeine, which aggravate Vata.
And lifestyle.
A regular routine is paramount for Vata. Consistent sleep schedules, meal times, gentle exercise like yoga, specifically poses that are calming and improve flexibility, is very beneficial. Regular self-massage with warm oil abhyanga is incredibly nourishing and grounding for the nervous system. Managing stress is also key, perhaps through meditation or breathing practices.
You mentioned Panchakarma earlier, especially Basti. Is that something done regularly?
It can be, under expert guidance. Periodic Panchakarma, particularly Basti, can provide significant relief and help remove deep-seated imbalances. It's a cornerstone of managing chronic Vata conditions. And equally important are the avoidances, things like suppressing natural urges, like urination, defecation, chronic stress, irregular habits, too much travel, fasting excessively. These all disturb Vata and should be minimized. And finally, that concept of Rasyana therapy. Regular intake of rejuvenating herbs and formulations is really emphasized to delay progression, build resilience, and enhance overall quality of life. It's about nourishing the tissues at the deepest level. Looking at Ayurvedic approaches like this for conditions such as Parkinson's, it really highlights the potential of this ancient wisdom for today's health challenges. It pushes us to see health not just as fixing a broken part, but as restoring a whole system's balance.
That's a powerful perspective. Restoring balance, not just fighting disease. So, here's something to think about. How might integrating these kinds of holistic principles, this focus on balance and nourishment found in Ayurveda, change how we approach neurological health more broadly? We hope this conversation has given you some valuable insights. If you want to continue exploring topics like this, please do subscribe to the Ayur Times channel. And if you have questions or your own thoughts on this, we'd love to hear them. Please share them in the comments below.